Howdy, y'all. You got the Bulldog on the channel. We're into another one. Remember the Chirpy Chirp belt here a little while ago? And I said that I got sick when I saw that motor. I'm about sick. The problem with it was occasionally it wouldn't start. Well, it's never failed to start me. But the customer, he went pricing around here, there, and yonder, and nobody would talk back to him. I'd given him an estimate based on what I kind of thought. And 2 weeks, no one called me back. And today he messaged me, he said, no one's called him back with any kind of prices. So guess go ahead with your price. Okay, that's no problem. Well, I'd been busy on other things. I hadn't double checked myself. My pet peeve. What you read on the internet is sometimes BS. For mechanics as well as customers. And it upsets me. It really does. It's one thing to be wrong. It's another thing completely to be misleading. We got a Hummer H3 here, and I looked up starter replacement, and I haven't found any free labor guides. What I use is on my day job. I just, check it. Well, I was always getting busy. I kept forgetting to check it. And of course, they wanted a price that day that they brought it there, or that weekend. And I'm guessing around this price, no big deal. I read some stuff online. I checked online estimates, and they say about this much time. And I used my labor rate and put it through there. And I mean, it was, around what was average. And I'm thinking it shouldn't be. I mean, I should be cheaper because, this is a state of misery. I mean, everything's cheap here. So I should have been less than everybody else. But oh well. But the prices were still, real close. I don't see how. Because today he said, go ahead. All right. Well, I thought, well, oh, shoot. I never checked that price. I never checked that labor time. I get in there. It's 3 times longer. Everybody was saying an hour and a half. It takes an hour and a half, no problem. It takes an hour and a half. 4.5 hours in Mitchell. That's the program that we use down there. Why? It says first you have to recover the AC. For the starter? What are you talking about for the starter? The air conditioning has nothing to do with starter. Then you remove the alternator. It's on the other end of the motor. Then you remove the intake manifold. I'll show you why. Here is the starter. If you can see that in there. I'm using the wrong side of my camera, so I can't actually see what it's doing. Here. See if I can flip it. Howdy, y'all. Get the Bulldog on the channel. Just bought a new part. I tried shooting a video last night, and my phone was below 50% battery, and when it's below 50% battery, it says,
oh my God, I can't do everything at once. What are you talking about? I can't be on and record at the same time.
and then it shuts down. So I lost all my footage. So here I am. I got the part off last night. Here is the new one. And I'm going to now make the new one so that it fits. Because this part right here is wrong. It's supposed to be tilted up here. And of course it has,
paint deals on it saying, oh, you can't take this loose because it's going to void your warranty and all this kind of stuff. And we'll build it right then. Just a bunch of stuff like that it just, it's the right part, it just don't fit. All I got to do is take these 3 bolts loose and rotate it a third of a turn. Of course, it's pretty iffy. All my tools are elsewhere. So no power tools, I'll just have to spin it off by hand. This is, I mean, we had to do this years ago on stuff. It was annoying. You'd think that, I mean, this is a rebuild. It's not a new one. You'd think they'd put it back the way it was, but no. No, that's too much trouble. That's all it is. Rotate it a third of a turn. Put the screws back in. Fix the new part so that it actually work. Now, why was that important? Well, this thing is precise to the point that when it's all installed, you can't even see it in the vehicle, which I will see if I can shoot that tonight when I'm putting it back together. But I don't know. I might get mad and pissed off and throw something up against the wall. Click. All right. Now it's at the right orientation. It sits in the vehicle about like that. Now, the reason it has to be exactly like this is the battery cable where it hooks up. This is the signal wire where it hooks up. Now, the wiring comes over top and it hooks down into a certain orientation. If it was over here, you wouldn't be able to get to it. The wires would have to be bent differently. It just won't fit. Make it fit, but just putting it in the right orientation makes everything else just work like it's supposed to. So why not just make it right? It sits in there like this. The intake manifold sits right here. It goes across the top and then down a little bit. The engine block is right here. Motor mount is right here. Knock sensor, negative cable bolting to the side of the block. Of course, it goes into the transmission back here onto the starter ring. But right here, there's some transmission cooler lines and dipstick tube. And then right here, there's a air conditioner line. I looked this thing up. What I did, I looked it up online because I was at home whenever I priced this job. I didn't have access to my labor guide. So I just looked it up. Well, we'll find out. I looked it up for what it was. They said the average price was this. Everybody I read said, oh yeah, it takes an hour and a half, throw it on there. So that's what I figured. I mean, it's just a starter. It bolts on the side of the block. I mean, it's not going to be a big deal. You gave me go ahead yesterday. And then I remembered, oh, I never did look that up to make sure what kind of time frame I had. I had already priced the job, judging off of what I read online. Pet peeve. Don't believe what you read online. This is a big deal because I look at my labor guide and it says it takes 4.5 hours. Why does it take 4.5 hours? Because you have to down the AC. You have to down the AC because this AC line that goes across the side of it here just blocks it in. And it also said you have to R&I the alternator. The alternator, this is sitting in position like this. The alternator's sitting right here. Should be enough room. But no, you have to pull the alternator off. You have to pull the alternator off because the alternator covers up the bolts for the intake manifold. And you have to pull the intake manifold off. You have to pull the intake manifold off because it sits over here top of it like this. You can't get to this nut. I didn't design it. I didn't build it. I didn't buy it. I didn't break it. I just fixed it. So when you have an H3 Hummer and you go to the shop for a starter, don't lay an egg in their lobby whenever they tell you a price. If you don't like it, don't buy a Hummer. This is a big deal in my area because people don't have huge amounts of money out here. We're getting these cars. I work on Hummers, Corvettes, Jaguars, Mercedes-Benz, BMWs. But we don't get them in good shape. We get them because they go through the cities and then they move out to the rural areas when their value drops. You know, it's a prestige thing out here too. But usually by the time it gets out here, it's kind of a piece of junk. And it needs all kinds of service. Simple start. Half the value of the vehicle to put it on. If you don't want to pay them prices, don't buy them. Now, I'm going to stick to my price that I shot in, but I'll never do it again. So, like I've said before, I'll work on them. But if you don't want to pay those prices, then demand that they be serviceable when you buy them brand new. But you're not buying them brand new, are you? So, make as much noise as the people that spend money. That's my only advice. Like, comment, subscribe, hit your little bell notification, share it all around. Talk to you later. We're back. I'm going to try to splice some stuff together. On this Hummer, I did get the starter back in place. And you can see in the easily accessible position that it is in. And it's not great. What you do is you get the steering shaft dropped out of the way. You take the shock loose and just push it down out of here. Here's back in there, knock sensor, ground strap, purge valve, and you reach around the back side of that starter with a deep well socket on this extension, and then put your wobble on this end and then extend it on out. It comes out right about here, and you can get the job done. I mean, getting your paws back in there, my hands are physically the size of Shaquille O'Neal and my fingers are the length of Peter Dinklage. It doesn't work very well, but I got the job done. I hope I'm going to get it all put back together, and we're going to
see if it fires up. So like, comment, subscribe, hit your little bell notification, share it all around. We'll talk to you later.